If you're having dinner, I advise against watching this clip, because this is one of the cases of murder that I consider most sickening and brutal. The butcher Ed Gein, the demon of Plainfield. Ed Gein, the killer prototype of the famous horror movie Psycho, horrified the people of Plainfield and influenced American popular culture. Let's take a look at his journey of crime right now. Ed Gein, full name Edward Theodore Gein, born 1906, and died at age 77 years old in 1984, also known as the Butcher of Plainfield or the Plainfield Ghoul. Ed Gein shocked when he confessed to killing 2 women and grave robbing from the local cemetery to fashion furnishings in 1957. On the morning of November 16, 1957, hardware store owner Bernice Wardens in Plainfield, Wisconsin disappeared. A resident reported seeing Bernice's truck being driven away from the back of the building around 9:30 a.m. Bernice's son, Deputy Sheriff Frank Wardens, entered the store around 5 p.m. and found the cash register open, with blood on the floor. Frank Wardens told investigators that the night before his mother went missing, Ed had visited the store and arranged to return the next morning to pick up a container of antifreeze. The last sales receipt Bernice wrote was in the morning before she disappeared. Later that same evening, Ed was arrested at a grocery store in West Plainfield, and the Washoe County Sheriff's Office was ordered to search Ed's residence. When raiding Ed's secluded farm to search for Bernice, the police could never have imagined what they were about to uncover. Police found Bernice Wardens' mutilated corpse in the shed, a shed storing items crafted from corpses. Upon his arrest, Ed confessed to the murder of Bernice Wardens and Mary Hogan, the bar owner who disappeared 3 years earlier. Part of Mary's body was found at Ed's house, but he couldn't recall the details of the incident. Ed was also considered a suspect in several unsolved cases in Wisconsin, including the disappearance of babysitter Evelyn Hartley in La Crosse in 1953. Ed confessed that from 1947 to 1952, he had visited local cemeteries about 40 times at night to dig up the bodies of middle-aged women newly buried. Ed admitted to robbing 9 graves and led investigators to the crime scene to corroborate his confession. Ed's crimes began after the death of his mother. Ed and his older brother Henry grew up with an alcoholic father and a domineering mother who frequently beat, punished, and kept them confined to the farm except for school. Augusta Gein told her sons that the world was wicked and all women were prostitutes. Henry became increasingly concerned about Ed's closeness to their mother and sometimes mocked them as bizarre weaklings. In 1944, Ed reported his brother missing after a fire at the farm. Henry was later found dead, apparently from smoke inhalation. But an investigation later revealed that Henry had died before the fire and had bruises on his head. Ed was suspected, but no charges were brought due to lack of evidence. A year after Henry's death, Augusta died of a stroke. In extreme grief, he sealed off every room once used by his mother and moved into a single bedroom next to the kitchen. This place later became a museum displaying Ed's gruesome artifacts. He said he wanted to create a women's suit from human skin that resembled his mother. There's a rather grim detail. After severing limbs, skinning, and preserving their body parts, Gein fashioned body parts into furniture, household items, and quite feminine garments. Below are 10 of the horrifying items that Ed Gein made from the corpses of women he either killed or exhumed from local cemeteries. 1. Drawstring curtains. Gein admitted to only killing 2 women, bar owner Mary Hogan and hardware store owner Bernice Wardens. However, many believe he may have killed up to 7 or 8 people. The exact number is really difficult to determine because he used stolen corpses from nearby cemeteries to supplement the bodies of victims he had killed, including a 51-year-old man, Eleanor Adams. Gein was also suspected in the disappearances of 2 children, 8-year-old Georgia Weckler and 15-year-old Evelyn Hartley. After Bernice Wardens went missing, her son, Frank, known as the town's deputy sheriff, suspected Ed Gein as the culprit. Frank was correct. Lieutenant Lloyd Scoofowester and Chief Art Schley found Bernice at Gein's house. Her decapitated body was gutted like a deer and hung upside down in an outbuilding. The box holding her head, guts, and fingernails was looped around her. Bernice's heart was in Gein's house. Officials immediately searched the premises and found a horrific item, a woman's lips sewn onto a cord on a drawstring curtain. 2. Lampshade. To keep himself busy, Gein became an avid reader. His collection of reading materials, however, stemmed from his bizarre decisions. His library included articles on cannibalism, trophy hunting, shrunken heads, and lampshades made from human skin by Nazi Germany. Gein also studied Gray's Anatomy. Apparently, his penchant for reading this book helped provide him with many horrifying ideas to decorate his home. Among the items in his house was a lampshade, the lampshade of which was made from human skin. 3. Chair. Gein divided the bodies of victims into parts. He kept their organs in the refrigerator and consumed some after cooking them on his stove or in his oven. Some say he occasionally shared his gruesome dinners with acquaintances. Among the gruesome items in Gein's house, officials found a chair he had upholstered with the skin of victims. 4. Plates, dishes, and ashtrays. Many serial killers are obsessed with victims' skull boxes, such as Richard Ramirez. After separating the skull boxes of victims, the Russian serial killer Alexander Pichushkin loved to pour vodka into them. For Gein, he used stolen skull boxes from the local cemetery to make soup bowls or ashtrays. He also inserted handles into the bones to create knives and forks. 5. Masks. Gein, the sick individual who liked to wear women's bodies like clothes, always ensured that his outfits included some masks, all made from the faces of dead women. These masks look very realistic, including the entire face of the victim, hair, forehead, eyebrows, eyes with eyelashes, ears, nose, lips, chin, and jaw. The only thing missing is the eyeball, which only appears when Ed Gein wears the mask. 6. Waist cincher and belt. Even as a boy, Gein always exhibited odd behaviors that made him the target of bullying by his peers. After Augustus's death, it seemed that he increasingly desired to become a woman, perhaps as a way to revive his mother. Although Gein claimed to have restrained himself from having relations or being attracted to the victims because the corpses of the women smelled really bad, he still wore the skin of the victims after turning them into clothing items. One of these items was a waist cincher, designed to make his waist appear slimmer and make him look more feminine. But Gein's wardrobe also included some other horrifying items, including a belt made from women's nipples. 7. Wall hangings and other artifacts. Piles of bizarrely crafted items were strewn, stacked, and cluttered on the floor of Gein's house. These included a trash can made of human skin, a lampshade made from a human face, a collection of human noses, a box full of women's genitalia, and the head of victim Mary Hogan in a bag. Gein also had a wall hanging made from body parts of victims. Furthermore, there were even more gruesome items. Among them, such as the human flesh corset, was intended to help him express his peculiar sexual desires by wanting to dress as the opposite gender. With a determination to appear as much like a woman as possible, Gein skinned the legs of one of the deceased women to use as leggings. 8. Vest. Throughout Gein's life, psychological counseling, hormone therapy, breast augmentation, or gender reassignment surgery were not available or not applied, so gender dysphoria was not recognized. Therefore, to disguise himself as a woman, Gein had to improvise. In addition to masks, waist cinchers, and leggings, Gein also utilized vests. The vest was made from the upper body of a woman, completed with the breasts of a woman, which is why the vest is known as the mammal vest. Along with Gein's other feminine attire, this vest gave him a more feminine appearance. 9. Dresses. Gein sewed the skin of his victims into peculiar dresses that he wore whenever he disguised himself as a woman. His wearing of these repulsive dresses inspired the wearing of similar garments in some horror films, including incidents closely resembling his case. 10. Accessories. Gein's wardrobe also included some other accessories, such as an apron made from the skin of his victims. This ensemble was a large patchwork of non-contiguous pieces of skin sewn together with large, thick stitches, resembling the attire worn by forensic investigators after conducting autopsies. There was a nipple on the left side of the apron, a face with parts of the eyes, nose, and lips stitched onto the left side of the ensemble. A pair of ears, sewn where pockets would typically be, opposite the upper thigh area of the apron. On the bottom right near the zigzag seam was the right breast, complete with a nipple. Among other items, Gein also possessed a pair of long gloves made from human skin, a pair of leather pants, and a necklace consisting of 5 tongues threaded onto a string. On November 21, 1957, Ed Gein was charged with first-degree murder but was not tried due to being diagnosed with schizophrenia and lacking cognitive capacity. In a 1968 trial, Ed was found not guilty by reason of insanity, confined for life in a psychiatric facility, and passed away from respiratory failure at the age of 77. He was buried alongside relatives at Plainfield Cemetery in an unmarked grave. Ed Gein's story has had a lasting impact on American popular culture, evident through films, music, and literature. The story first gained widespread attention through Robert Bloch's novel Psycho, 1959. Besides Alfred Hitchcock's film adaptation of Psycho in 1960, Ed Gein has also been referenced in Deranged, 1974, In the Light of the Moon, 2000, Ed Gein, The Butcher of Plainfield, 2007, and Ed Gein, The Musical, 2010. Ed's heinous crimes became fodder for filmmakers, inspiring many fictional horror characters including Norman Bates in Psycho, Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Buffalo Bill in The Silence of the Lambs, Dr. Oliver Threadson in the television series American Horror Story, Asylum. Even after decades, the name of the human skin murderer, Ed Gein, continues to haunt many. Fortunately, as society progresses, the darker corners of life become clearer, leaving less room for individuals like Ed. What do you think? Is this case truly intriguing? Feel free to leave your comments below.